Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Taurus for November 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my wealth of free resources and other resources to assist you with your self-development, astrology studies, professional studies, and more. Also, if you'd like to have a live reading with me, I'm off of my sabbatical, my long sabbatical from taking on new clients, and I am available at this point for live readings. So you can go to anniehelpsyou.com to check that out. So what's going on this month? We've got Venus still in retrograde, then coming out. We've got Mercury going into retrograde. We have Jupiter going into Sagittarius. This is a momentous move. That's going to be what we focus on to see where Jupiter is going to be for the early, middle, and late degree Taurus placements and what the implications could be. Also, this month has way more positive aspects than negative aspects. That's a rare month when that happens. Usually it's, half and half or a little in one direction or the other, but this is a very notably sweet month, even taking into consideration the awkwardness of the retrogrades. So I expect a lot of blessings to come in, especially from the past. Some challenges of things that are not yet resolved that are being brought up to be resolved so that you can move past them. And in general, a lot of optimism and buoying up of feeling and energies because of the Jupiter moving into Sagittarius. I'm calling the theme of the month for Taurus, Powerful Relationship Opportunities. And this has to do with Jupiter moving into the 8th house for the early degree placements and coming soon for you middle degree. And then Jupiter still spending time for your middle degree and a longer time for you late degree placements in the 7th house. The 7th and the 8th houses are the relationship houses, and there are other things that go on in those houses as well. I have a surprise planned for you. This is something I've been wanting to do forever. So in celebration of my 6-year anniversary doing these horoscopes for you every month and a month early, and also in celebration of Jupiter going into Sagittarius, I finally have the visual for the early, middle, and late degree placements so that you can see why I take the time to talk about where you were born in the Taurus spectrum, why your chart looks different, and you can see how the chart looks different. So I'm going to skip over to the charts now, and if you decide you don't want to have that understanding, you can fast forward through the parts that you see the charts until you see me back on the screen, and then I'll talk about what Jupiter in each of the placements could look like for each of the Taurus placements. But expansion, benevolence, optimism, growth is very, very, very imminent in these sectors that we'll discuss. So let's look at those charts now. Okay, Taurus friends, this is what I wanted to give you the visual about. So my main objective for this part of this lesson is to just show you how anywhere from mildly to drastically is there an effect depending on your different degree or your different placement. Okay, so I've got 3 charts here. I always use 3 charts to do the horoscopes. I don't just use one. I use an early degree placement. So early degree placements are the first 10 days of the sign, 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your moon or rising. So I use a 4 degree for our early because that's the middle of those 10 degrees-ish. Okay, so then we've got middle degree chart. We're using 14 degrees because 10 to 19 is middle degree, or the second 10 days of the birth days is your middle degree Taurus. And then late degree Taurus is using this 24 degree because 20 to 29 degrees, or the last 10 days for the birth sign. Okay, so Jupiter's the star of our show. That's what we're focusing on this month. So I want to show you how the Jupiter placement drastically changes depending on your placement. Okay, remember this is like a wheel, and the later your degree is, you click, click, click wheel, and then your view of what you see is shifted. You notice, just from a quick comparison here, look in the early degree chart, all of this stuff is here in the 11th and then part in the 12th, okay? But in the middle degree chart here, all that same stuff that was 11th going into 12th is very clearly in the 11th house. You see how it shifts to the right? Okay, then you take, just for this example's sake, then we'll get to Jupiter, but look at where that stuff is for late. Very solidly in the 11th, closer to the 10th. Okay, so everything shifts to the right, or clockwise, not really the right, because once you get on the bottom, it's shifting to the left, but still, clockwise is what we're doing here. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter. Jupiter is here, and for you early degree placements, you can see imminently it's moving into the 8th house. The 8th house is where Jupiter is going to be for early degree placements. We'll talk about what those implications are after this quick lesson that you have the visual. Okay, but when we take the middle degree into consideration here, okay, we can see very imminently Jupiter is moving there. Here, look at where Jupiter is. Set back a little to the right. Okay, it's going to take a little longer to get there, not quite yet. So while the early degree placements are having the 8th house fully lit up by Jupiter, you second middle degree placements, you're having whispers of it. And you early middle, you'll have that in a couple months, getting really good there, but it's going to take longer for you later middle degree placements. And then look what happens when we look at the chart for the late degree placement. Where's Jupiter? Anywhere near the 8th house? Nope. It's all the way over here. It's not in the 8th house. It's not going in the 8th house anytime soon. So for us to read the charts of the horoscope and say, hey, Taurus, Jupiter is moving into your 8th house, that would be a bunch of crap for you later degree people. You can see clearly it's not there. Okay, so this is what I've been trying to tell you guys, and now you have the visual of it. So let me just take a quick look and see if there's something else here I wanted to talk about. Okay, so the other quick thing to see, now you saw that a planet that takes longer to get around, how it really shifts over, and it could be staggered by a year from the very earliest to the very latest degree Taurus placement that Jupiter would really start to shift into the place where it is now for an early degree placement. So I just want to show you some of the quicker moving planets. Check out the Sun in the early degree. It's very much just going to be in the 7th house this month. Okay, you can see that. Then the middle degree, where's the Sun? See, move that there. Oh, is that in the 7th house? Nope. See there? It's about to go in though, very shortly. So part of the month it will be there, part of the month it will be in the 6th house, depending on your placement. But then when you look at the late degree placement, where's the Sun? Is it anywhere near the 7th house? Nowhere near it, okay? So it's going to take several weeks. The time it takes Jupiter to move this distance could be like 6 months to a year, depending, okay? And then the time it takes the Sun to move this distance is, a couple of weeks. So depending on the orbit, the time that it takes to move that distance is different, but the point is still the same. If you're talking about a November horoscope, for most of November, for you later degree placements, the Sun is going to be in your 6th house for your late degree, while it's very clearly in the early chart in the 7th. Okay, so that's what I wanted you guys to see. All right, so now let's talk about what Jupiter can mean in the 7th and 8th house. Wasn't that exciting? Okay, so now that you have the visual as to why I take the time to show you the difference between the early, middle, and late degree placements, let's talk about where Jupiter is going to be for each of you and what that can mean. Now remember, we're talking about Jupiter moving into the 8th house for you early degree placements. So again, that's the first 10 days of the birth sign. In general, it's like the April-born Tauruses. And the first 0 to 9 or 10 or so degrees that we're talking about. But the rest of you still pay attention, because the things I'm going to talk about are going to come for you. They're just going to be staggered. And a sensitive person can often feel these things early, and knowing that they're coming can help you to plan. Okay, so Jupiter expanding the 8th house has to do very much with other people's money. This also has to do with shared resources. So expansion coming through your spouse, through your family, through inheritances, sweepstakes, even winnings. People having Jupiter move through their 8th house have an increased chance of winning money. I've seen this happen so often for myself and other people. Winning things, winning money, winning sweepstakes, winning trips. You become more lucky to have something that is someone else's benefit you without you having to do very much for it. If you need to get a loan, or you want to buy a home, if you want to clear up your credit, if anything like that, this is an amazing opportunity for that. Yes, you can also utilize credit and get in more debt, but hopefully you'll be discerning as to how you do that and have it strategically placed in your efforts so that it will help you in the long run. You know, sometimes you have to borrow some money to make some money, and you'll definitely have a chance to access venture capital, anything like that. Also, finding powerful partners or people or entities with resources that can support your efforts in any way, you know, including, you know, just mom and dad sending you some money, mom and dad giving you money to help buy you a house, surprising you, some random person giving you money. I know that I've found money more often, like on the street when Jupiter is in this placement. You know, it expands the energy of just money coming out of the blue. This is also a very esoteric placement, and it's also a psychological, like it rules psychology. So deep studies of astrology and other psychological tools, numerology, other things that have to do with psychic phenomena, but also psychological predictive behaviors based on certain factors. This could be expanded for you, so you may find that you're very drawn to study or to utilize this information in expanded ways. You may have major spiritual breakthroughs. This is also the house of deep intimacy and sex and power. So questions about feeling powerful, feeling powerless, you know, blocks to intimacy, clearing those. Many people get married during this time. This is one of the marriage houses, and often Jupiter in this placement either helps you find your person or helps you move forward in those relationships. So Jupiter in the 8th house can be pretty exciting. One of the things, Jupiter in Scorpio, well, Scorpio rules the energy of death, but it's not just literal death, it's figurative death, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, like birth, death, rebirth. But there are some times that the inheritances or things involving somebody passing. So I just always tell people when this happens, just because, you know, I definitely wouldn't worry about it. And, you know, most people go through this transit and don't have anybody pass away. But it's definitely a time to be right with everybody, just in case somebody goes, then you don't have regrets. That's advice that I think is well placed, because then even if nothing happens, then you've still improved your relationships because of the deepened intimacy from the increased communication. So for the rest of you, middle degree placements, you'll have this brewing, and you may feel it already, the early middle degrees. But the bulk of the middle degrees and the late degree placements, you're going to have more time with Jupiter in the 7th house. This energy is also relationship energy, but it has to do more with the actual connection and not with all of the resources and things that go along with it. So, you know, you and a person connecting, you and your clients, you and your partner, you and your friends, you and people you're collaborating with. It's an amazing time for expanding your business, building a client base, expanding a client base, finding amazing practitioners or helpers who can serve you in your business for delegating, finding a perfect dentist, you know, finding a perfect psychologist, finding anybody who has a skill set that you need to help you. If you need to hire people, this is also an amazing energy for that. Sometimes there's excess energy coming from Jupiter, so relationship stuff can just be kind of double time at this time. And it's very much a focus on revealing and healing patterns. Remember that if you have a pattern in relationships, it's easy to say it's the other person. But if you're the common denominator, right, you're the person that has had this succession of certain things go on. So the healing has to come from you, and then you can project that out into your space. And this is a time when you really can heal relationships, but it can also cause more problems in your relationships if things are not resolved. This, coupled with the Venus retrograde energy still present, you know, anything unresolved from relationships are very likely to come back. It doesn't mean it has to be bad. It doesn't mean it has to be terrible. It doesn't mean it has to be like it was in the past. But those echoes of the past unresolved things are going to come up for you to heal. Now, anything you have healed in the past, you'll benefit from that at this time, and it will support and buoy you up as you're moving through the rest of the things that may come up. So luck and personal connections of every kind increases right now at this time. And optimism towards improving relationships and feeling like something's manageable or can be done is also increased. This 7th house also rules aesthetics, so anything having to do with design or improving the space that you're in is under here, but do remember that when Venus is in retrograde, you just want to kind of go lightly on the design projects and just kind of stick to, you know, repainting, white trim, just like fixing things up, but not doing any bold long-term decisions if possible, because you're not really seeing completely clearly in design until the end of December into January when the energy has cleared. Okay, so those are the things most on my mind for Taurus. Now let's talk about these sweet spots and the few places to watch. I'll give you the dates. Also, I want to talk more about the goodies that Jupiter and Sagittarius can bring in general. So we'll go into all that now. So my theme of the month of November 2018 for all signs is defiant optimism and relentless hope. And I'm getting this from the energy of Jupiter in Sagittarius. We've just talked at length about how Jupiter in each of the houses of, your individual sign can bring that energy of Jupiter into certain areas of your life. But the general experience for everybody that everyone has access to has to do with this increased energy of sparkling luck, defiant optimism, relentless hope, unprecedented growth, glorious expansion, because Jupiter is so happy to be in its own sign, and this only happens for 1 year every 12 years, so it's a very big deal. You can think back to what was going on 12 years ago and the kinds of themes and things that showed up, and you can see how it may relate to this current transit. Of course, there are different factors at play now than there were then as well. It's always more complicated. And of course, not every person is going to experience the energy of defiant optimism and relentless hope. We shade how we see things with how we are and what our outlook is, or what we have going on in our lives, or whatever our more personal chart has going on that we may not be able to see in the general horoscope. So we see things sometimes as we are, or as influences are around us, not always how they really are, right? That's reality is subjective. But in any case, this energy of teaching, learning, speaking, writing, publishing, religious, spiritual work, international travel, international business, global connections, different countries, different cultures, different languages, general expansion, general happiness, general freedom is this theme that's running through for the next year, from the end of 2018 through the end of 2019. So Jupiter is the natural ruler of Sagittarius in the 9th house. It's most happy here and exuberant. We can see this energy of one's perceptions or beliefs being broadened. Many people will have learning frenzies where they feel so driven to learn more, and the things that they're learning may be more diverse in nature. Maybe they'll go headlong into one course of study, or maybe it's a general course of study under which there are lots of little pieces. Jupiter likes to get its fingers in a lot of pudding pies. So Jupiter favors breadth, sometimes even over depth. It's the more seeds you plant now during this time, the more plants can grow from the seeds that you've planted over the next 12 years. So zealotry with a belief system or studies can definitely happen because Jupiter is the energy of excess. So we'll see this extra oomph being added to however Jupiter is manifesting. So the energy of legal matters can also come through in a very big way. One of the rulers of the legal realm is Sagittarius and the 9th house. So sometimes there's an amplification of a problem that's already brought to the law. Sometimes, this escalation brings it, but it will very likely be in the forefront over the next year. So we still have Venus retrograde until the middle of the month, and so we're not going to be seeing clearly in love, beauty, and money in many regards. However, Venus retrograde can also bring in things that we plan to do for a long time, things that we were hoping for, things that we were working towards can magically start to come in wonderful ways. If there are issues in love, self-esteem, or money or finances, sometimes those issues come back up to be dealt with. Sometimes things that we've dealt with in the past now come in as blessings in this time. So definitely check out my resources. I've done so much work for you on Venus retrograde, but I'm not going to get into that here because you can look at the October horoscope to see where Venus has been working in your sign. You can also look up Annie Botticelli, Venus retrograde, to find my blog, very comprehensive, and my video, very comprehensive, that tells you everything that you need to know about Venus retrograde and how to navigate the transits. We are also going to have Mercury going retrograde. So that is another factor here that has to be taken into consideration. On the 15th, we have the the retreat of Mercury from 13 degrees of Sagittarius back to 27 degrees of Scorpio. So that rolls until around December 6th, and then the post-shadow period runs until around the 24th of December. So if you're trying to focus on Christmas shopping or whatever other holidays you celebrate, the later kind of last minute shoppers will probably benefit more here, because by the time you're getting into mid-December, a lot of the shadow period of the Mercury, retrograde and post-shadow, post-transit shadow period will have passed. So you're better off doing it later, because there are a lot of factors involving money. But, follow your flow. If you're feeling inspired, just do your thing. But you will notice, if you track making purchases when Mercury's in retrograde over time, that they tend to come in broken or the wrong size, or you don't like it or the person doesn't like it. It increases the odds of communication about what people want and about what you're ordering. So the energy is more clear towards the middle of December. So, the couple of weeks before the holiday times. So now, since we've found this amazing truth that there are more positive aspects this month than there are negative aspects, and there are a massive amount. This is a very rare month indeed. I want to touch on some of those beautiful aspects. First, I'm going to give you the dates that the positive aspects happen. And remember, when I give you the dates, that sometimes you feel the expression before or after that day. Don't cling too tightly to the actual day, because there are orbs of energy around each transit that can manifest in the days before or after. So November 1st, these are the sweet days, or the sweet aspects. November 1st, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 11th, 15th, 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 25th, 26th, and 27th. So within all of that, we also have some of the best beautiful aspects of the year, with Jupiter coming together with personal planets that can bring amazing luck, some of the luckiest days of the year. So we have those wrapped up into this, okay? So the likelihood of stress, challenges, and overstimulation or general awkwardness is more likely in the days around the 15th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 30th. So you notice a lot less here, a lot less. We start out November. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of some of the main transits and what you can expect with them. But to get more details about this and a written version of it, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get a month ahead the written version of the transit so that you can plan around it, because I know many people, including myself, do that. So the first, we've got this amazing transit with Jupiter and Chiron in a trine. This is a major boost to ignite your superhero self. Anything that was a challenge in the past could come back to you in a wonderful way. Let's say you've had a problem, it's been ongoing, you've been working on it, or there's an area of life that you have to work harder in. This period of time could bring major blessings in those areas. We also have, between the 5th and the 6th, the Sun and Neptune being in a beautiful aspect that can boost love and intimacy and tenderness and spiritual breakthroughs and creativity. On the 7th, we've got the new moon at 15 degrees of Scorpio. And this is time to make your new moon and wishes of anything Scorpio related. So anything having to do with debts, loans, borrowing money, loaning money, inheritances, intimacy, sex, power, esoteric studies, psychology, anything along the Scorpio lines. Between November 8th and 9th, we've got Jupiter entering Sagittarius. Yay! This is very exciting. Very, very happy in that place. We've talked at length about that. And then on the 9th, we also have Venus making a beautiful aspect with Mars, the female energies and male energies blending beautifully at this time. The draw to connect socially and romantically may be stronger now, and nice outcomes from that. Of course, still be aware that Venus is in retrograde, so you're not seeing clearly in love. And because of the closeness to Mercury being in retrograde, just keep it in mind as you're navigating through these relationship things. But either way, energy returning from the past rather than new endeavors are better supported, but just male and female energies coming together can really sizzle now. It's also great for charisma and creativity and overall sweetness. Okay, so then on November 11th, we've got the sun in this beautiful aspect with Pluto. And this has to do with your determination and your drive and your purpose, which can feel extra strong right now. Even though Venus in retrograde doesn't work well to support major launches, this is a time that expansion of something already in process can be great. So if you're following a continuum, you have something that you've been doing and then you add to it, you enhance it. This is a period of time where things like that can do well, like edits or experimentation to work that's already in play, or betas, things like that. Maybe you might be able to get some information there. Okay, so the 15th, Mars and Uranus are in a beautiful aspect. And this has to do with exciting and positive change, can have to do with wild insights that could turn out to have major merit. The energy of Uranus is fleeting. So if anything is going on in this time and you have a really good idea, definitely write it down, because you think when you have the idea, there's no way I'll forget this idea, but Uranus energy tends to, it's not very stable. But you could do something more substantial with it in the future if you hold on to it. So write down your crazy ideas. November 15th, we've got Venus direct at 25 degrees of Libra. That post-shadow period ends December 18th. So we're moving out of the Venus retrograde cycle, but there's still like a hangover of it where you're still really feeling it. And the rules still apply to a lesser degree with each day you pass out of the transit. November 15th, also, Mercury goes retrograde at 13 degrees of Sag, back to 27 degrees of Scorpio. So Mercury can often bring back to us places, people, creative projects, ideas that were present before that can come back. You may find that you are very drawn to do work on publishing things. It's not the best time to launch them, but it is an amazing time to work with them in the backdrop, to do edits, to wrap up things in anticipation of this open window that's coming soon that we've been waiting for forever to push things out. I love the end of December and into January for pushing your publishing or other projects out. So this is a great time to tie up loose ends. November 19th, we've got one of those challenging aspects, Mars and Jupiter. So guard against injuries, especially now. You're more likely to get a cold, or your resistance may be down from overstimulation. This can also manifest as like wanting to expand, but then expansion or movement being blocked. But that should pass over a few days. Then on November 20th, we have another sweet aspect with the sun and Chiron. So this can bring a wonderful chance for releasing heavy baggage. So Venus is making more of its movement direct. Maybe things that came up in that retrograde may be starting to shift now. And a notable physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual healing is very possible from this transit. Which brings us to November 22nd through the 23rd, the full moon at almost 1 degree of Gemini. It is squaring Mars and opposing Mercury and squaring Neptune and opposing Jupiter. So it's a pretty busy, maybe could be very stressful full moon, but there are positive aspects that can come from it. So fullness, completion, drama, fruition, coming to anything Gemini, any travel things. You could have a trip come up or being followed through with. You could have something notable with your car. Be extra careful driving, because Gemini rules transportation and walking and biking and skating and whatever else, flying. Okay, so Neptune moves direct at 13 degrees of Pisces on November 24th. So this can help the fantasies that we've been rolling around in move forward into tangible reality. November 25th and 26th and 27th, we have the Sun and Jupiter getting together in Sag, and then we have the Sun and Mercury getting together. And all of that's wrapped in with this Jupiterian energy. So good news, good luck, auspicious, random things, things expected, things that you planned. This is a beautiful time. So smile big with awesome expectation. Okay, so then we've got November 30th, we've got another little bump here with Venus opposing Uranus. That often brings jolts or surprises or arguments or stressors in love and money. So just breathe deep and know that usually the things that come up with these type of transits feel really upsetting at the time, but they tend to pass pretty quickly. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits. And I hope that you definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my wealth of resources on my free blogs, Also, you can sign up for my free email newsletter and get updates as far as these newsletters that I send out with the month ahead written. Also, when I update my written horoscopes at cozybysweetstarlight.com. Cozybysweetstarlight.com, I have written horoscopes that often cover different information than I do in the videos. So you can see those, and when you sign up for my free email newsletter, you will know when I update the upcoming month, which of course everything is always ahead of time with me. Then if you're a traveler, go to astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. That is my travel astrology website where I do monthly travel astrology reports. If you're traveling, special transits to note for travelers. And if you want a reading, I am still open. I have been closed for a long time on sabbatical from taking on new clients, but if you'd like to have me look at your chart, go to anniehelpsyou.com and you can book a reading with me live. And if you're interested in tarot, definitely go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com, and check out his tarot course where you can learn tarot, and he also does readings. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.